Today on the Aware Black Woman podcast, what we're going to be discussing is the fact that Black women are tired. We're tired, and we're recognizing that women of other cultures and races are being treated 10 times better than we are. And we are revolting. We are in the midst of a soft era revolution, and we are addressing that tonight. We want you all to know that this is a safe space for all women. However, primarily for our Black women, this is a place where you can really lay down your cape and understand yourself more deeply, create the awareness that you need to move in the world more consciously. That's the goal for our conversation tonight. I'm so excited.
I am too.
All right. So listen, Black women are not just waking up. We are rising up. It's been far too long for us to, that we've been carrying the struggle, trying to fix, trying to mend all the broken pieces, put everything back together and hold all of the balls in the air on our own. And we are tired. We are tired. We are stressed out. And I think finally we have come to a place where we are okay saying we need help. We need help.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I think people think that needing help is synonymous with being weak.
Yeah.
And that's actually saying that you need help and being humble about it is really, it's a strength, if you ask me personally.
Yes. We are tired of receiving crumbs, especially from men, and while it's not all about men, right? It's really about creating wholeness and building yourself internally, and then allowing your external world to reflect the love that you've created for yourself back to yourself. However, we're all wired for connection. We all desire to have successful relationships. And so many of us that are tuning in to this podcast have been in relationships that have not been successful, that maybe have been toxic. And so what I really want us to do is to bring awareness to that as well, so that we don't repeat those cycles. And what I've recognized is that toxic relationships are a very low frequency. Did you realize that?
They are. I would agree. Because personally, I've been in a toxic relationship. I've been the catalyst of a toxic relationship that went on for years, and everything seemed pretty cool. And it's not always that one big thing. It's that pile of little things that builds up. And that's why you have the adage, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. And so what we want to do is have every woman watching this elevate to the point where they outgrow toxic relationships because they've outgrown that frequency. We don't want pain to feel comfortable to our viewers anymore. We want them to realize that peace, being comfortable, being loved, being passionate about the life you live, that's a much higher frequency. And our goal is to create a harmonious life for everyone watching, including ourselves. And so we want to share some statistics with y'all tonight, primarily to open your eyes to everything that has been researched and documented, so that we can know how to proceed, and how to create better lives for ourselves. So Black women are the most educated group in the U.S. I know that this is talked about a lot, and it's thrown around a lot on TikTok, especially, and Instagram and Facebook, all of the social media platforms, that Black women are rising up, not because we necessarily want to, like this is something that we just wake up and decide we're going to go get another degree today, or we're going to conquer the world, we're going to enter corporate and climb the ladder. No, these are things that we've had to do. Like, we didn't have a choice. Some of us were in households married where the guy decided he wanted something different, or, back in those toxic relationships where he may have cheated or did something that was damaging to the relationship, and we were forced to boss up, and we were forced to figure things out and create systems for ourselves so that we can, have our own security and safety. And so Black women have, become the most educated group of of women in society. However, we're the least protected and respected. And we want to know why and how can we change that? What can we do? And I don't want to say what can we do, because I don't want us to put us in performance mode anymore, because our goal is to be respected and loved for our essence and not to perform or earn. But how can we change that dynamic where we're not the least respected or the least protected anymore? What can we do to make the shift?
That's a very good question. I mean, that really, is a good question. I don't necessarily think I know the answer to it. I feel like sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is just a black woman thing. I feel like some people use their titles for a type of identification, and just because you are a doctor or you have a master's degree or whatever it is, that doesn't necessarily identify you. And I feel like it might be almost like a shield. I'm a doctor, so, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a strong person because I'm a doctor. You're a doctor because you went to school. You did what you needed to do. And that's not a slam, it's hard work, obviously. But it's almost like, I'm a doctor, so you should know that I'm this. I've heard people even talk about their titles and say, well, I have a title. And that's fine and all, but are you hiding behind that title? What are you doing? I mean, is that really making you a stronger person?
That's a very good point, because I think that not only people hide behind the titles, but then also society dismisses their needs because of the title.
Right.
Because they feel, oh, she's a doctor, she has it figured out.
Right.
Or
to be honest, when I first met you, I knew you as Dr. Danielle Nicole Black, and I still do. But the term doctor has a stigma with it. That person knows what they're talking about. That person, they're intelligent, and be it as it may, they may not know, have common sense. I've met a lot of people that had degrees that were completely in the dark about life altogether. But I would agree that because someone's a doctor, we have a tendency to think they have themselves put together.
To dismiss them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you said that, because that's another thing that we want to acknowledge, on this podcast, is that yes, Black women in particular are educated. We are an educated group. We do have the titles, we do have the status and all of those things. But I want to make it okay for us to say we don't have it all figured out. We do need help. We do need to lay down the cape and be okay with receiving. And so that's a very good point. Because
do you think the title? Do you think that Black women have started to go to school to get these degrees and get this education and everything, not because they're not educated, but to prove a point?
That could be part of it for a lot of us, because I know when I was recovering after heartbreak, get my book, The Queen's Order, shameless plug. It'll give you the blueprint for how to recover. I know when I was recovering after heartbreak, I really had to, what's happening when you get in such a dark place, especially going back to the statistics that Black women are the most educated, but the least respected and protected. Going back to that, I think that some of us do try to acquire these things in order to earn the level of respect.
Right.
And
like
attention.
You think I'm going to have to do this, and now this is going to get respect for me. My other question, I think, is within the Black community, do you feel like maybe some people within your community might view you as thinking that you're better than because you do now?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That's why it's so important that you stay authentic to who you are, because I'm no longer a performer. You know, I used to perform for people to like me and to accept me, or I used to try to work to earn their respect or their love. But at my core, I realized this while I was going through my PhD program, because I had to stop. You know, things got really hard, and I actually shaved my hair off. I had like a nervous breakdown and yes, I call it PhD school. In PhD school, I shaved my hair off, and I remember lying in bed talking to God, like, "Is this really what you have in mind for me, or is this something that I signed up for myself?" I'm just like, because this feels hard, and it also feels unnecessary, right? And so I had to really go to God and go to myself and say, okay, why am I doing this? All right. My purpose for doing it primarily was to create stability for my kids, because I knew if I taught at the college level with the PhD, you really only have to have a degree above the level that you want to teach.
Like a master's.
Right. I could have had a master's and taught undergrad, but I taught undergrad and I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted to teach higher because I found that the undergrads were too close to high school and sometimes they're immature. So I wanted to get into more of the graduate studies and education, because I like the pedagogy. I like the intellectual, ping pong that happens at that level. And so I wanted that. And, God confirmed for me the next day why I had to do the PhD program, because I ended up having a conversation, with other professors, and I was the only one in the room that can carry that conversation. So that was confirmation for me on that. But I still had to self-assess and say, am I doing this for other people? Or am I really doing this for me and my family? And I think that all Black women need to do that. Right.
Because I feel like what you're saying is there was a part of you that was doing it just to prove.
Well, I was angry.
Right.
I was angry because I was in a relationship. Well, I was in a marriage where my ex-husband, I supported him as he got his doctoral degree. And I'm like, dang, he got his doctoral degree. He went off, started a whole new life. And I was left with two of everything, like Noah's Ark, having to rebuild my life. It's a whole long story. We have to do a separate podcast for that. And I was like, well, what did I get out of that? What did I get out of building someone else's life that they were supposed to share with me, but decided to go start a new life with someone else?
So what was your why? I mean, I'm sure it was your children, obviously, but I mean, what else?
Yeah, it was my kids. I wanted to make sure that I could create stability and security for them. I definitely didn't want them to finish college and have all the student loans like I had. So that was part of my driver. But the other part was I had just, put a man through school and then not reap the benefits that I thought I would from it. And so I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? Everything that I gave to him, I'm going to give to myself. So that way I can live a life with no regrets. I can say, okay, I supported him through getting his degree. I am going to support myself through getting my degree. And it was not easy. And there are a lot of Black women like me. And when I think back to that part of my life, I had 3 jobs, 3 full-time jobs. And I was online at night, sometimes until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning because of the time change. I was in school in Oregon, down here, 2-hour difference. And my kids would stay up with me. Like I say, my kids got that degree with me. So there are a lot of women that have all of these things, Black women in particular, have all of these things going on. And I think that that's why the statistics are rising in the area of a health crisis for us, because we stretch ourselves so thin to accomplish all that we need to accomplish.
Okay. Now, my next question is, do you think that it's become a competition amongst Black women who can do better than the next one? Like, oh, I'm a doctor of this. I'll tell you a great reference is one of our past podcasts on YouTube. There was a lady that she commented and she said, well, I'm a doctor of culture. Like, that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that doesn't even matter.
Why was that even brought up?
Yeah,
that was in my opinion, that was a moot point. But she was like, I'm a you know, when
I
somebody
think
says something like that, it's
yeah.
almost like it's a like I'm, you know, I'm qualified to give you my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm qualified to not worry about it. I'm not saying I don't, but
I think sometimes people's insecurities just shine through. Like they already have those insecurities before they start these programs and they acquire these titles, and then those insecurities still come up. But you know, I don't think so. Like, I don't think that it's competition. I think that I think that Black women in particular have just realized how awful it feels to live in poverty. You know, to have to choose, do I pay a bill? Do I get more food for my kids? You know, how am I going to manage to get gas? You know, and there's no man in the house. So I think that we are so tired of the stress of the poverty that we have, you know, fought really hard to acquire these higher degrees, because it, you know, if you get a higher degree for a long time, it meant higher pay. You know, better stability, better security, better safety. So I think for a lot of Black women, it's not necessarily a competition. It's survival.
Okay. And that makes sense. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, you're showing up and showing out. But do you think that maybe that could be something that would be a snare, a trap, if you will?
It can be a trap, and I'm going to tell you how.
Just simply because. Oh, go ahead. I was going to.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was where I was going with that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Where I was going with that is that how the strong Black woman would think? I'm a strong Black, and they feel like. And even though it's a positive, I mean, to be a doctor, to get a master's degree, to do, you know, whatever it may be, whatever the accomplishment may be, is great. But in that silver lining is still that cloud that might be, you know, well, I did all this because I had to, because I'm a strong Black woman. And you know, it just makes you tired. It almost, when you think about it, it almost makes you a victim of your own good thing that you did.
Right. It can. And you're making a very good point that, and that's why healing is so important. Because when we heal and we come home to ourselves, because a lot of us are living so disconnected from ourselves because we have to do all the things and we're trying to create stability for our children and for ourselves, because we're in a household. We're one of one, you know, we're the provider, the protector, the nurturer, and all of these things. And so we are trying to create that stability for ourselves. But we do get to a point where you create the stability, the structure is in place, you feel safe, you feel secure, your nervous system starts to settle down, and then you can release the cape and say, you know what? I've done all these things. I've checked all the boxes, but I'm not okay with the strong Black woman title. You know, I can be soft now because I do have the structure.
It's time just to breathe.
Let it go.
It's time to just decompress.
Decompress and make the identity shift, because I've made that shift. Right.
It's almost like when sheep get scared, they run, and they run until they die.
Yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
And that's right.
Yeah. Right. And so, you know, the real healing is evident, especially for Black women, when you watch her go back to her inner girl, when she finds ways to connect with her inner girl and be playful and fun again. Like doing this podcast is fun for me. You know, this is
fun for me too.
Oh, thank you, buddy. This is like a young girl's dream, to be able to have this type of setup, the cameras, have a co-host. Like this is wonderful. And just when women heal and they release that cape, they find ways to go back to that, and also I have other fun groups that I'm a part of, dance crews and golfing and all of those different things.
I almost wish I would have known you maybe 20 years ago.
So that you could see the evolution.
Yeah. The transformation.
Yeah.
I think that's more what it is, would be a transformation. I believe that you have evolved, but I believe that you've transformed. I think that, you take a caterpillar, a butterfly, it's a caterpillar. And I think that, it's not very attractive. And I'm sure you were very attractive back then as you are now.
I'm more attractive now.
I think maybe on the inside you might be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that your butterfly has definitely, sprang its wings, and I think that you're trying to help others do the same.
Right.
And that's there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of we've got some pushback, and that's something we can talk about on the way. Maybe I'm not the right co-host for everybody, but that's okay.
Listen, if we're going to evolve, we don't need the same mindset. We don't need two of the same mindsets on the air. Mm-hmm. We need difference. We need a difference in culture, a difference in view, a difference in upbringing, so that we can see ourselves from a different lens.
Exactly. That is 100%. And the funny thing is that even though we see each other from a different lens, some of we can share. There's things that we can both definitely share about that could be the same about me and you. And
that's the bridge that we're building.
Right.
And that's what we want our audience to see, that we are more alike than we are different.
Correct.
Right. And so my perception of white men has evolved and changed because you're a co-host, right? And I'm sure your perception of the black woman has evolved.
It really shifted. Has. It really it has. It has, because man, that would be a whole hour. No, maybe not an hour, but I would say that it has changed. So I'm gonna ride this elephant in the room around. Okay. Everybody's prejudiced.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between being prejudiced and racist. Prejudice means you prejudge people. Racist means you hate people because of their skin color. And I don't know. I that's something I can't necessarily wrap my mind around. It's just never been in my nature really to hate anybody, for that matter, let alone for the way they look or anything like that.
Right.
Or whatever they do, that's on them. That's between them and God. But for their skin color, it's just never been a thing for me. I've never understood it. But I feel like that I have definitely had prejudice. I'm sure you've had prejudice. A lot of times we let the powers that be that might get into our living rooms at night at 5:30 p.m., whatever standard time that you might be in the news media, drag our prejudice around for agendas. At any rate, I have learned so much just because I've been able to talk to you. I've been able to learn from you. I've been able to learn from others. And to be honest, it's very fulfilling. It is so fulfilling to know that we're different, but we're not. And the other thing is just to learn from different cultures. I mean, I think we get so wrapped up in the word culture. Oh, you're just the culture. The culture. Is that what they call it? The culture.
Do it for the culture.
Yeah, right. Whereas I think that it's just really something you can learn from. That doesn't mean that one person's culture is better than another person's culture, or it's, whatever the case may be. But I have certainly learned a lot, and I am hoping that people in my shoes that are in my community would choose to see this and learn as well.
Yes, thank you so much, buddy. Especially since, according to statistics, right, and in real life for me, because I've experienced it, that we are the least respected race of women, and we are the least protected. So it's very awesome.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It's awesome and amazing to create a space for Black women to be acknowledged and really edified in a way, because we have been the least respected race of women and the least protected race of women for such a long, long time. I think that it's wonderful to be here.
Right. And I can respect that. And here's the thing is, so many people are like, and so many people are like, well, if you stop talking about race, then, you know, if you want to be equal, then you'll just stop talking about race. And I understand what they're saying, but I also understand that it's not that you think you're better than, it's just you just want to be treated.
Yeah.
Just
and understood.
Right.
And think about an argument. If you're in an argument with someone and you feel like they're not hearing what you're saying and you're not hearing what they're saying, but yet you keep throwing gas on the fire, the argument just keeps going back and forth, right? But what happens the moment you stop and say, okay, what I think you're saying is, and you make that person feel seen and heard, the arguing stops.
Right.
And we can move on to something else.
Right, exactly.
And so that's what this podcast is.
And I would, you know, like, for instance, I don't refer to you as Danielle, the Black woman.
Right.
I don't refer to my buddy Jim as Jim, the white guy. And I think that's where we really get our wires tied up, or tangled up rather, is the fact that a lot of times people will say, well, he's a black woman or a black man. I'm sorry, he's a black man, or he's a white man, or she's a black woman, or whatever. That means nothing. Unless you're identifying someone to the police, that means nothing. But that doesn't mean that you doesn't have your that doesn't mean that you don't have your own plight, that you don't have your own struggles as a black woman.
Yeah.
Because I certainly have struggles, believe it or not, as a white man.
Yeah.
We just have separate struggles.
Right. That's very correct. And so the other thing that I want to address, because we've had lots of Black guys in the comments on our TikTok. TikTok is where it's hot. There's a lot of back and forth. Yes. Now. And so what I want to do is say that we highly respect all men across the board, right? And we highly respect all women across the board. What we're trying to do is create some camaraderie and understanding. Instead of going back and forth with the arguing or attacking each other, we're trying to make all cultures, particularly Black women, feel heard and seen, right? And so with that being said, in our previous episode, we acknowledged that Black women are the most educated race of women, you know, as of 2021, right? According to research. And so even Black men are acknowledging that Black women are raising the bar, they're being paid more, you know, they are running their households, you know, and for a lot of them, they're carrying the lone wolf energy. I'm guilty of that as well. You know, it's like once you get used to doing everything on your own, you get in this independent mode, even though you're thinking I need to be soft and allow myself to receive, you've just been doing it for so long. It's just really who you are. And so that's why a lot of people can have the misconception that, oh, she doesn't need help. You know, she's got it. She's got the title. She has this, she has the status. And so we want to, you know, create a place where all women can lay down their capes, especially those women that are successful and have the titles, and all of those things. But my question really is, what are we going to do to to bridge that gap, especially within Black culture. And we talked a lot about this with our last podcast guest.
And I want to, I just want to piggyback on that. Some people have said, you have a white, here's the thing is at the end of the day, I'm not just a white guy. I'm a white man, and Black men are men. White men are men. We are both men. And white men do the same things that Black men do. We all do things. White women do the same things that Black women do inherently when it comes to certain things. And when we're saying that, when people are saying, well, you're judging, or you can't talk that way, you shouldn't say this or say that. Here's my thing is if I love someone enough and I know that there's a better way for them, and I know that they cannot be happy, that they are probably in some ways a little bit miserable. I know that I've been the same way. I've been miserable, and I wish somebody would have said something to me. Hey, Mike, this could help you out. I may not have liked it because most people don't like the truth about themselves. Most people don't want to hear the truth about themselves unless it's something good. The fact of the matter is you wouldn't let your child run out onto the freeway because you love them. It's not that we are trying to bash on people. We're not perfect either. We make mistakes. We've made mistakes. We'll continue to make mistakes. However, the mistakes that maybe we've made, we can help others learn so they don't do the same thing.
Right. Exactly. We want to bring attention to what's happening, especially for our young girls that, have not recognized the pattern. Right.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
Because for me, I didn't know. I didn't recognize the pattern. I didn't know that I was not responsible for building a man. I didn't know that I was not responsible for contributing and sacrificing in the way that I did and not expecting anything in return. Right. I did not know that.
Right. And young men, listen up. They're not responsible for raising you. You don't need a mom. You've got a mom. If you didn't have a mom, I'm sorry, but most of you have a mom. And guess what? Your mate is not your mommy.
Yes, we're not. But I didn't know that, right? And so when things were going wrong in my past relationships, I felt like, I have to do more. I have to rescue him. How can I heal him? How can I be there for him? What more can I do instead of walking away and saying, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't feel good. So we have to help bring awareness, especially to our young audience, and for our older women, we have to help them deprogram and rewire their thinking.
So what would be one way that you have a lady that has, she is older, she's been in those shoes, and she needs to deprogram? What would be one way that you might explain to her or tell her or help her out and guide her in what she could do to change?
Be selfish. Be selfish. Be selfish.
There's going to be a lot of men out there.
And y'all can come for me in the comments all you want. But learn to be selfish. The world has made Black women feel guilty for being selfish, for taking care of themselves.
I don't necessarily know the word selfish is the right word.
It's the right word.
I don't think it is.
It's a healthy selfishness.
I see what you're saying. Maybe self-preservation might be selfish. A better term. I don't think that's selfish.
Well,
I mean,
I think that
Rose in Titanic was selfish. She had room on that stupid door for Jack to get on it. Okay?
Well, here let's define selfish, because maybe I think that we have, as society, we have given selfish a negative connotation because it was intended to make women feel guilty for putting themselves first, right? So let's define selfish. If you are selfish, you are what?
If I'm selfish, I'm taking the last piece of pizza without asking people.
And see, for me, if I'm selfish, I am taking care of my needs and I'm figuring out what works best for me and what does not work best for me.
Okay.
So when
that's fair in that context, that's a very fair word.
Right.
I'll
So
give that to you.
selfish, the world has made us think that selfish means that I am, taking everything. I'm not leaving anything for anyone else. I'm not thinking about anyone else. It's all about me. That's not what selfish is. Is I'm thinking about my needs in this situation.
I've been called selfish in a bad way.
Yeah, I don't know why we put a negative. I think that there are some people that are selfish, that are not thoughtful and that are not considerate of other people. But I can be selfish and take care of me and still consider other people's feelings. You know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't have to be
Right.
either
I'm learning
or.
something new today because, to be honest, I feel like selfish. I do.
You had a negative.
I
had a
do.
negative thought about it, and a lot of people do. And to me, for the woman that is, she's lived out the pattern and the programming that culture has placed on us, that we need to put everything and everybody first. And she's been in these toxic relationships and she's put the man first and she's put him on a pedestal, and now as you get older and you realize, okay, if in order for me to shift this programming and really be who God has called me to be, it's going to take some selfishness. It's going
we
to
could call it self-aware.
Yes, because
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on that.
You stuck on that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You stuck on that. In order to get back to really who you are, you have to go within. Because if you don't go within, you go without. You go without the love you deserve, the life that you deserve, maybe the salary that you deserve. You have to go within. And that's going to require some selfishness because you're going to need some alone time.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
You're going to need some time for reflection, for journaling, for scripting. You're going to have time where it's just you, God, and yourself, And so once you come back to yourself, and I'm going to be very transparent about this, because everybody says, oh, Danielle is such a catch. Why is she not cuffed yet? Or why is she not
cuffed?
Yeah,
it's not that kind of podcast.
Married.
It's not that kind. It's not that.
They say cuffing season.
We don't have a link tree.
Why is she not locked down? Well, here's the thing. What I realize is that I'm still deprogramming, that there are a lot of things that used to work for me that does not work for me because I've become selfish. I have become more self-aware. I spend a lot more time with myself. And there was once a time where, when I was in those toxic relationships, the men that are showing up in my life now, I actually pray for them, right? Like I pray for the guys that were just a little bit stable, that, had just a little bit going on, had something that I could work with just a little bit. But now that I've elevated outside of I've elevated out of those toxic frequencies, the little bit that's showing up is not enough. You see, it's not a match for me. And I'm able to feel that. I'm able to discern it more. I'm able to, feel the misalignment and say that this is not enough because I've been selfish enough to say, okay, no, I don't want to date. I just want me to me. And once you get yourself to yourself, you can go internally and figure out exactly what do you need and what would be a good match.
Does that mean that you're never going to allow someone in completely?
No, that doesn't mean that. It means that I have spent enough time with myself, to know when misalignment shows up, or when it's good enough but not enough. And I know myself well enough to say, okay, this feels off. And if I engage in this dynamic, this is going to bring me back to who I was and not to who I want to be. If I engage in this dynamic, I'm going to end up sacrificing too much of myself and not getting what I need, which is the emotional depth and the substance that is fulfilling for me. You know what I mean? Like, I think that when
you're being selfish.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
No, that's really true, because we as a society, and I think this is across the board, we have been wired to do relationships all wrong. We think about, when we go into relationships, we think about, how can I help this person? How can I serve this person? But in reality, you want to be in a relationship that's going to make you the most you.
That's kind of my love language, though. So I'm a contact person. And I like to know how I can help somebody, how I can, I'm one of those people that if I go get a drink out of the refrigerator, I'm going to ask my wife if she wants one, because I feel like maybe partly that is my love language. I love to give to others. I'm I'm horrible at accepting gifts. And I know that sounds really weird. I really, really am bad at receiving gifts. On my birthday and on Christmas, I'm okay with it. But if someone just was to, like, out of the blue, give me a thank you card or a gift or something like that, I'm not very good at accepting them, because it just makes me feel really weird. I don't understand why.
Because you're a man. Men are not supposed to be good receivers. They're supposed to be servers and givers. But for women, we're supposed to be the receivers,
Right.
And society has made us shift so much into our masculine energy that we become the givers, we become the nurturers, and then we end up in relationship with the takers and the abusers.
Well, to be fair now, we men in general have been accused of having toxic masculinity.
What do you mean by that?
Toxic masculinity. You've never heard of toxic?
I've heard of it, but what do you mean of accusing? Like what form? Give me an example.
Because we're trying to put ourselves above women because we're opening up the door, or we're taking the seat out for them, or we're like, oh hey, I see you have something heavy, let me carry that for you.
I like that.
There are some women that don't.
That appreciate chivalry. Well, those women are more feminist. They are more anything a man could do, I could do better. That's not this podcast. That's not this podcast.
I've been accused of being a chauvinist. Just because, and it's not because I'm a chauvinist. It's not that I don't think that you can't do it or anything like that. It's just because that's what I do. I believe in giving.
Yes. And that's very good for men, right? But that's not good for women. And so when we go into relationships trying to be the server or the giver, we end up, especially in Black culture, because the Black man has been in homes where his mom may have been a single mother, and she's been the giver, she's been the server, he's watched her do all the things. And then when we get into a relationship like that, we're not allowing him to be in his masculine energy and do the pursuing, the giving, or all of those things. We end up giving, pursuing, and serving. And the only man that is really going to accept that and be comfortable with that will be the narcissist, the abuser, or the taker. A real man with real masculinity is not going to be okay with a woman trying to serve him and nurture him and do all of the things that you're talking about in that way. Like, what man would be comfortable with a woman pulling out his chair, or some of the women proposing to the men like I've seen online? The only men that are going to be okay with that are the men that grew up with that dynamic, Now,
I will tell you, there was a point in my life, believe it or not, and where I actually had never paid for a date.
Wow.
And I, at one point, was going out with this girl, and she didn't buy me dinner. And I was appalled. I was 19.
So did you grow up with your dad not paying for things?
No, my dad paid for everything.
I wonder what happened.
And I'll tell you what happened was I don't know why, but girls back then. I was a musician. I still am, but that was a whole different lifetime ago. And the way that I treated women was very like objects. And most, I would say 99% of my relationships at that time were physical. And for some reason, I had a girl who would take me to the mall. I had girls that would pay for dinner. I actually came to expect it. And when this one girl decided that she was going to eat dinner in front of me, and I was like, dude, what do you do? You're not going to buy me dinner? It was the craziest thing. I can't even believe that I'm saying this now. And I'm so happy that I'm not that way. Because I used to be that way. Yeah. And I didn't know what it was like to take a girl out on a date. I mean, and because quite honestly, girls would just, that's been a long time ago and I look a lot different.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it was just my personality or, they were obviously, I had them.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. And so, because you did bring that up, I think that we should address that, especially for our young girls that are watching and for our women that still feel like, because those girls obviously felt like they had to earn your attention.
They did.
Earn your respect.
They did.
They maybe felt they put you on a pedestal.
They did.
They didn't realize that they are the prize. They made you the prize because here you are, this young hot musician. Let me get his attention because I know that other girls are trying to get his attention. So let me compete for him. Let me buy him the best meal. Let me treat him the best. Let me show him that I'm worthy of his love and attention.
Don't do it, girls. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Look, let me make eye contact with y'all. Don't you dare go on a date and pull out your wallet.
No, do not do it.
Or touch a car door or a chair or pick up anything in a man's presence. And if you're on a date with a man that expects you to pay, that is not your man. We're not earning love anymore. We're not performing for love anymore.
That's not a date. That's a friends going out.
Yes.
That's exactly what that is.
That's going Dutch.
That is.
Yeah,
that,
and
that
we're not doing that.
I saw a thing where maybe you shared it with me. I can't remember where these guys were talking about how they thought it was kind of weird paying for a first date.
Oh, yeah, I did share that.
And I just can't wrap my mind around why wouldn't you pay for a first date? And it's not about getting lucky on the first date and all that junk and everything like that. It's just about respect. You're a man. Act like one.
Yeah.
Be a man.
Yeah. And acknowledge that women are the prize.
They are.
We're
God gave us women. God gave men women to be with them, to be a team. But they're also when I say this, I don't mean this as women are less than, but they're these gentle, frail creatures. It took me having to have daughters to make me really understand how, and it took a few other things to make me understand how my view of women was so completely out of whack. That I kind of had to reprogram myself.
Yes,
in some respect.
Yeah.
Do I look at women? If I see a good-looking woman, I do. I'm a guy, and I'm not hiding behind, oh my God. But I'm not saying that, I want to go and bed that woman down or whatever. I can respect a pretty woman. I can see a pretty woman. But the thing of it is I used to be that way where I would look at a woman and, oh man, and I'm happy to be out of that, out of that kind of mindset. So I'm going to tell you right now, young men, if you're watching this, pay for that date. Young women, if he doesn't pay for that date, then
move on. Move on, move from the table. Don't even finish the date. Just move on from the table. And so I'm so glad that we're having this conversation and that you brought that up. I don't know what made you bring it up. I'm glad that you did bring it up because we want to bring that awareness, because sometimes we don't understand the ways that we're not being the woman in the relationship. Sometimes we don't understand how we should be behaving in order for the man to see our value and our standards. Some women just have really kind hearts and think, okay, if I have it, I'm going to pay for his meal. Maybe he hasn't had someone to pay for his meal before. I'm going to show him, that I'm a generous person.
That a woman shouldn't,
every now and then, but I think
if you're in a relationship, that's totally different, man.
But in the
that's
earlier stages of
right.
dating, when you're trying to figure out if this is someone that is worth your time and worth your investment, I don't think that that's the time for you to try to show how generous you are, because you're trying to vet this person and see if they have the potential to be a good partner to you. So we want to make sure that we understand how to express our value and our standards, and the way women see things, men don't see it. Like
right.
I've learned that, when a woman approaches when a woman approaches a really masculine man, they don't see her generosity as, oh, she's a wonderful woman. They see it as she might be a little thrown off, or she's not that smart.
But I mean, at the same token, if you do find yourself a man, and we're out there, and I'm not saying that I'm the perfect man, because trust me, I am not. But if you find a man that fits I don't know if I should say requirements or prerequisites or whatever standards. It might be, standards, yes. Then, maybe let them know that you appreciate it.
Of course. Absolutely. Express your appreciation by all means, and allow the man to pursue. And what I also want to address,
there's nothing like the chase.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, the chase!
There is nothing like.
Can we talk about the chase? Because we bought the chase up.
So much trouble.
We talked about the chase on a previous podcast, and that's one of the clips that is on our TikTok. Please go follow, subscribe, follow, share, save, do all the things to grow our platform. But we talked about how some men are attracted to women because of her outer appearance, and they lust after her. And women that come from broken homes can interpret the chase as, oh, this man really likes me. He's really going to come and treat me well because he's so adamant about getting my attention. And then once that chase is in motion and the woman turns around and gives in to the chase, and they maybe become intimate way too soon, then he's done. I see it all the time, where women gave in to the chase. Well, he was after me. He was doing all the things. And then I finally gave in. He got what he wanted. He ghosted. He blocked. He never called her again. And so, we have to be very careful with the chase. There's a difference between chase and pursuing. If a man is coming on hot and heavy, it's probably because he wants, your body, not that he wants the total package.
Right. And girls, if you say he got what he wanted and it wasn't something that you wanted, then you need to reflect on how you're conducting yourself. And that's not me saying, well, you deserved it or you dressed in a certain way. And it's nothing like that. It's just saying that you need to reflect on who you're going to let into your life in that respect, because it's very intimate.
Yeah.
And I think, the world has made sex like butter bread. It's just not that big of a deal. And it is a big deal. Trust me, I have turned sex upside down throughout my life and made it something that it wasn't. And thank the Lord that I have been able to change my perspective of sex and what it truly, truly is. Do I still not have those urges? Of course, I'm human. But I've also learned how to put sex in the category of where it's supposed to be.
Right. And when we say to reflect, we want you to think about what happened in the situation.
Right.
But also try to change your programming. Try to change your pattern, because just because a man is chasing you, don't interpret that as he's going to provide for me, protect me. He loves me. He's really interested. We're going to have a great life because he's chasing. You need to change your pattern and think, I need to vet him. And ask him, what are your intentions? What are your plans for your interaction with me? Where do you see this going? What do you want, in your life? Are you looking for a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship? Are you looking to be married? Are you looking to have kids? Like, start asking all of those questions, because sometimes when we come from trauma-driven backgrounds, we're afraid to ask questions because we feel guilty. It makes us feel like we're being too demanding, or it hurts when we want to get information. So we stay quiet. We let the man do whatever he wants to do. And then when you feel that, it's going on long enough and now you just want to know, you pop that question. Well, what are we? Where do we stand? All of those things should have been asked up front. And when you start applying that pressure before, even when he's applying pressure during the chase, when you start asking all of those questions, if he doesn't have good intentions for you, he is going to turn around and go chase somebody else.
Right.
So you want to apply that pressure and say, okay, why are you chasing me? Why is this so intense for you? What do you want from me? What are your intentions? Are you a provider? Are you a protector? How are you planning to provide and protect me? Where do you see this relationship 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? If he is not serious about you, he will disappear, and let him.
And let me tell you, you cannot save a guy with sex.
No.
You cannot save a guy with what the good Lord gave you. And not only is it's unhealthy to even try.
Yes.
Now, I understand there are people that just enjoy a go around, and if that's what they do, that's what they do. That is really, that's their business. But if you're truly trying to find somebody that you're in it for the long game, then that's not going to be the way to go. And you can't say men, you can't save women, women, you can't save men.
That's right. That is right. So we want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about, Black women, because...
Time out. Is this going to be a whole new podcast?
Well, we still on the overgiving
Yeah.
and receiving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's gonna go.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. Okay. Go ahead and say, okay, we're going to shift gears now. I'm sorry.
All right. No, you're fine. Okay. So in keeping with the shifting from overgiving and receiving, the overgiving to, let me go back. Staying in topic, we want to shift our thinking from overgiving, because everything that you are describing, when it comes to the women that were doing all the things for you, paying for the dates and, chasing you, that's really how a lot of Black women have been groomed. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I had an aunt call me and say, you may want to go after this guy. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. Don't be crazy. He's going to make money one day. Like, taught to chase instead of, saying, okay, well, he's going to be at this party. How about you attend and just be in the vicinity and see what happens? Just put yourself position yourself and be in the proximity of the person that you think you may be interested in, instead of teaching a young girl to chase. And so we want to shift from over giving into start receiving, and making yourselves visible and being in proximity with the type of men that you think you want. And sometimes we end up in relationships and with men of this type of dynamic because of the places that we're going. We may think, oh, we want to be treated better, but you keep going to the holes in the walls, or you keep going to these places where these types of men are. And so if you want more, it's time to elevate. And then also I want to address the women that are watching that are successful, that do have everything and can check the boxes across the board. When it comes to dating and relationships, you have to be a good receiver as well. Just because you've had to use your masculine energy to acquire all of these things doesn't mean that you can carry that same energy into a relationship and into the courting process, because successful Black women have a track record of winning, right? And so whatever we want, we've gone after, but we cannot go after the man in a relationship. It's not going to work. We have to allow him to be the pursuer and see if he's capable. And that's not about money. That's not a money thing. We need to see if this man is able to carry the relationship, to be that, be the provider and the protector, have the mindset, not necessarily a dollar amount, but have the mindset to do what he needs to do for the woman.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Stuff. So what was the last thing you said?
It's time for women, Black women in particular, that are successful, to learn how to be good receivers, because Black women that are successful, we have a track record for going after the things that we want. And sometimes it could be a man, and that doesn't work for us.
Is that something that you explain in the Queen's Order?
In the Queen's Order, what I talk about is developing a deep self-awareness, asking you to reflect, going through the 6 stages of transformation. So I am transforming you into softness, right? And so I'm absolutely addressing the fact that you should not be pursuing a man, and how a man should be showing up for you, and the type of queen energy that you should be in. That's what I'm addressing in the Queen's Order. It's more about making an identity shift, because I believe the partner that shows up that we choose to entertain has to be in alignment with us, right? And so if a partner shows up and he's toxic, then it's something being reflected back to you that's still toxic about you that you need to change. And so in the Queen's Order, I'm helping queens elevate above that toxicity frequency so that they can attract a healthy masculine man that's going to reflect to them their light, their beauty, their pureness, their intelligence, their depth, their emotional intelligence. All of that will be reflected back to them as a result of them creating this wholeness and this self-awareness for themselves.
Okay. So what happens when Mr. Right turns into Mr. Wrong?
That's why we have to vet, because I've had that happen before. And that's twofold. It comes to vetting and you not being a performer, right? So we want to take time to vet the man, because when men come on hot and heavy, we think, oh, this is real love. They give you all the feels and the thrills, and you think the butterflies is this is finally someone that I can be serious about and love. But butterflies really are not good.
I feel like butterflies are good after maybe a few months or a year of a series. Like, for instance, if I see my wife of 5 years and I have butterflies, that's a good thing.
That might be a good thing.
But I feel like you're right. Because man, there's nothing like that. That first I don't know if it's dopamine or what it is,
Yeah.
but when you first fall in love with someone and everything is just rainbows and sparkles and it's
Yeah.
great. I mean, there's something about falling in love
beautiful.
it is a beautiful thing. And love is a beautiful thing. But our hearts are deceiving.
Yeah, and here's what I would say: the butterflies early on are a huge trauma detector. Like if you're feeling butterflies, it's obviously some trauma bonding, or this person is resonating with some trauma in your body. So you need to tread lightly if you feel the butterflies. The only thing that loves speed is money. So if you get a good idea and you get it out there and you start to expedite the process, money loves speed. But when it comes to love, it's the slow burn that wins. Okay. So a good indication that this man is healthy and whole, he is not trying to expedite things with you. He is not talking intimacy on the first date or the first week. He is talking about how he plans to show up for you. He's trying to earn your attention, trying to take you out consistently, daily or, weekly, or however much communication he's consistent with it. He's that type of guy. So that type of guy is the slow burn that we need. But trauma likes to make us think that guy is not worthy of our attention. He's a square. We want the guy that's going to give us the fast and the furious. These and the butterflies.
That are like, why can't I find a nice man? They're chasing these duds, man. And I'm sorry, but you know what? There's dud women and there's definitely dud men. And they keep chasing the same guy.
Yeah. And it's because
he said the right thing. Trust me. I'm going to tell you right now, there was a time where I could literally talk myself into quite a few beds. It's nothing I'm proud of. It is what it is. I was not blessed with looks. I was blessed with a personality, believe it or not. But to the point of where I knew what to say. I could, and let me tell you, women, and men, if you're one of these guys, then, change it up, because you need to stop doing this. I could see a weakness. I could see a crack, a light in a woman, to where I could figure out what made her tick, and I could really talk it very well, and I didn't even have to sell myself. I could just and if I could do it,
y'all hear that, ladies?
If I look at me, someone like me can do it, imagine what the really, really good looking guy that's athletic or whatever. And I'm not dogging on the athletic, good looking guys. But it's not hard to do. And women fall for that stuff, and they keep on falling for that stuff.
Stop falling for what a man says.
I know it's nice to hear that you're pretty and everything. And I will tell you, I tell my wife all the time that she's beautiful, and it's because I truly think that she is. But men, there's a difference between a nice compliment and a guy that, if they're really making you feel a certain way just by the way they're talking, then you need to close that off and look at their actions. And can't agree more that you need to vet. You do need to vet these people. And just because they did something wrong, I'm not saying that, because we all make mistakes. We all do things. I can't say we all do, but, a lot of people do make mistakes. A lot of people do things that they wish they hadn't done. You can see if they've grown from it or if they haven't. But it's just really important that you look at if you're going to look at the long game, again, like I said earlier, you need to really, really, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't trust men or trust a man or anything like that. But it's okay to make a man put in some elbow grease.
And listen, you have to know which men are going to put in the elbow grease. let's think thoroughly about this. If the guy is a nice looking guy, he's a top athlete and all of the girls are after him, he is less likely to put in elbow grease because he has all the women putting in elbow grease for him. So you need to stop going after the guy that looks good, but he's lazy. He's not pursuing you. He's not trying to earn your love because he has women working to earn his. Stop going after these type of guys. Go after the guy that's willing to earn you, that's willing to show you with his actions that he's interested, that's willing to invest in you because you are the prize. You are the prize.
And you're going to want to treat that man. You're going to want to make him dinner. And I know that, I'm not saying that women belong in the kitchen before people start wigging out about that. You're going to want to do things for him.
Yeah, you're going to want to reciprocate because he's treating you well.
You should, and you should want to reciprocate. Relationships are a two-way street.
Yeah. And the bottom line is we have to stop falling in love more with how a person looks over how they treat us. Because what has happened is women will find a good looking man and try to make him be what they think he should be or what they think he need. Yeah, or try to save him inside of a relationship just because he looks good. We have to stop giving good looking men a pass to abuse us and misuse us and not give us top treatment just because they look good. That doesn't make any sense, and so we have to be more in love with how we're treated over how someone looks or how we look to society. Right? Yes. All right. And so it is quite evident based on our conversation that Black women are done settling inside of relationships, inside of life, love, and business. We're done. We're over it. And we're going to maintain our standards. So now we want to ask the question, and we want to have a conversation of accountability versus shaming. Like, this is not a shaming conversation. We are all taking accountability in the ways that we've led to the dismantling of successful relationships in our society, because a lot of
that's a mouthful.
Yes. Yes. A lot of Black women, have had to use a lot of masculine energy to boss up and become who they are. That is no lie. We all know that.
Hence the strong Black women.
But how do we return to ourselves, and how do we regain a soft power where we're able to use our feminine energy in a way that will get us the lives and the love that we deserve? And so what we're trying to figure out is, how can Black men, not just Black men, but all men, because we don't want to say that Black women have to be with Black men or Black men have to be with Black women. But we know that the family structure of the Black home is not intact, right? And so if the Black woman wants to stay with the Black man, what is the Black man going to do to keep up with the dynamics that have happened, the shift that has happened in Black women, where they've elevated, they have the businesses, they have the systems, they have this, they have that. So what is the Black man going to do? How can we get the Black woman and the Black man back on at least an even playing field, where there can be some camaraderie, some partnership, some development in relationships, maybe even marriage together? How can we even the playing field now?
Well, that's a very good question. And I wish I had a better answer than, that's a very good question.
Well, here, I have some thoughts about it. Okay, you got some?
Speaking just as a man, not necessarily a white man, Black man, whatever, Asian man, I would say, just maybe listen to her. I'm not always the best listener. A lot of times I'm a way better talker. But listen. The other thing is love language.
Yeah.
We have a habit of thinking that our love language is what other people want to, that's what they desire. And I was literally, I just was talking about how my love language is giving. My love language is do you need something? Can I do this for you? And to be fair, you could, at some point, you could be taken advantage of in that respect, but I don't never worry about it because it's just what I am. I'm just kind of a giving person. Whereas I feel like that if someone doesn't go to when they go to the refrigerator and they don't offer me something, I'm like, what's that all about? I also feel like my love language is complimenting people. Again, I have a tendency to compliment my wife. If she doesn't compliment me, I'm like, what's wrong? What's the deal? Whereas I had to figure out what her love language was. Her love language is actually cooking, giving. It's food. And I can respect that. I'm not necessarily a cook, but I know that maybe that's something that I need to look at. So I think communication is really the biggest key. So many people are together for so long and they are not together at all because they don't talk. They don't listen. They don't. And after they've listened, they don't talk. They don't say what's on their mind. You can have a good conversation. You can have dialogue with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whoever it is, your partner. You can have dialogue with your partner without having an argument. And guess what? You can disagree without having an argument.
Yes, that's very good. I'm glad that you said that. And I want to say to the Black men out there that have become self-aware and realize all the ways that they maybe have not held up their end of the deal or the bargain, that what Black women want most from them is to acknowledge the hurt, the pain, the disconnect that they've caused, the ways that they have not stepped up in the household. Acknowledge that. Don't overlook that. Do not undermine it or dismiss it like it didn't happen. Acknowledge those things first and foremost, and allow, like you said, the woman to talk and to be heard, right? Because we go back to our first few episodes where we talked about Black women being seen as brash or rude, and that's not really the case. She's expressing herself sometimes in an overly passionate way that can be perceived as anger, and and of course she's angry, she's disappointed, right? She's been let down,
right? And outside looking in perspective, maybe Black women are perceived that way because I know for a fact that I don't like to repeat myself. I don't know anybody that does. I have children. When my children were little, and I'd say, clean your room. About the fifth time around, I'm about ready to lose my cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like at some point, Black women
were constantly overlooked.
Right. And it's like, hey, I'm here.
Right. Right.
And it's not that you're trying. I mean, we all have. There's what you would call, quote unquote, main character. I've seen it where it's called, I'm the main character and you're just going to deal with it. That's in everywhere. I've seen that white, Black, Asian. I've seen Hispanic. But when you're not heard, and the very people that you think you should be able to rely on, if I was a Black woman, I would think that the one person or the one community I could rely on 100% would be a Black man.
Yeah.
As a white man, I can tell you right now, the one other community I've always felt like I could rely on would not just be other white men, but it would be white women.
Yeah.
So it's not too far-fetched to think that black women would want black men to listen to them.
Yes, that's a very good point. And also, here's the other disconnect, is that black women are investing in themselves. They're investing in their therapy. They're investing in their healing. They're investing in their elevation. And so not only is there an earning gap or a salary gap, there's a gap in the emotional intelligence of the black woman and the black man. Mm-hmm. So what the black man now has to do is invest in himself in those ways. Get therapy, get the help, invest in your healing, invest in your elevation, because black women that have elevated in their careers, they've not only elevated there, they've elevated in their level of self-awareness, in their level of emotional intelligence. And so their lens and their ability to synthesize and see the world is a lot more elevated than the black man.
Right. I'm actually going to go further out on the branch here. I do feel like that black men have been groomed by certain segments of society to believe that they have to work a lot harder than white men. And they have that hanging over their heads. And if I had something like that hanging over my head, I'm not sure that I would really operate in a way that might be deemed normal. It's 2025. Everybody has the same opportunities. I've said it, and I'm going to stand by it. Everybody, regardless of your skin color, has the same opportunities as long as you are within the proper confines of the law, which means you're not out stealing and breaking the law and all that sort of thing. We're all equal in that respect. The one thing that truly does separate us in some ways would be how much money we make.
Yes.
Because there are people that, and I'm not going to get off on it, there are people that make enough money that basically they could probably kill people and never see a jail cell. Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, we're not undermining the fact that we all didn't have the same starting line. Mm-hmm. We all don't have the same advantages, especially, black men and black women. We've all had our hurdles to hop.
Correct.
But I think that if black women can hop those hurdles and rise, so can black men. And there are a lot of black men that have used the disadvantages and the barriers as an excuse to not rise and to just gravitate to women that are willing to earn their love, overperform and take care of them and be mothers, instead of being the providers and the protectors that God have called them to be. And so we're not undermining that racism doesn't exist, that, life is sometimes not made hard inside of the workplace for black men or black women. But what we're asking you to do is to work harder to rise, the same way that black women have.
Because it's not 1955 anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's
2025 and we still have some of the same challenges. However, I think that the access to accumulate wealth is much easier, especially in the digital age. As it, it's much easier now than before for us to do it. So I think that if black women are creating paths to their success, so can the black man.
Right.
But in order for the black man to elevate and become, the person that their families and their households need them to be, they have to focus on their healing just as much. Because as women, as emotional creatures, when life don't go right for us, we immediately go to the place of, what did I do wrong? What do I have to do to fix this? How can I fix myself? Who can help me? Who's the best therapist? We're asking questions. We're trying to get help. Whereas the Black man often shuts down, doesn't want help, doesn't want to talk to anybody. He wasn't raised by a man. He doesn't trust men because he wasn't raised by a man. He doesn't have a man in his life that's holding him accountable that he can talk to and ask questions. So they just stay stuck.
Well, as a man, I will tell you that it has been, and oddly enough, by men, it's been almost like it's a bad stigma to admit that you might need some therapy, or that sort of thing. I was raised in a household where emotions was just not a thing. If you cried, it was, you're shut up, you're being weak. What do you would get teased if you cry. What are you crying for, big baby, and all that sort of thing. Whereas it basically, even to this age that I'm at now, I literally have had issues trying to navigate through emotions, because emotions is just kind of a no-no. It's just kind of a thing that I've it's always been a little bit of an obstacle for me. Fortunately, I have grown and I have matured in the fact that I know that I'm going to cry. That's a human thing. Jesus wept. If Jesus wept,
you can.
Guess what? Mike can too. There's things that I need help with, and I think one of the most masculine things, one of the biggest things of being a man, is accountability. Is just owning it. I messed up. I don't know how. I don't know what. I don't know when, where, or why. And we don't have to be that way anymore.
Right.
And maybe at some point in time, men did have to be that way. And I'm not saying that it just doesn't emasculate you to have emotions or feelings.
Right.
I do feel like women at some point do emasculate men when they decide to let their feelings be known.
Yeah. And the emasculation happens because we're not honest initially in that vetting process about what we want in a relationship. And a lot of times we're not able to be honest because we haven't had the time to be selfish, going back to that word, where we have sat with ourselves and realized what we need and what our standards are. So if we don't know what our standards are and we're not able to articulate them early on, we develop them inside of the relationship. We're still not articulating them. We just set these standards in our head and think that our partner is going to meet those standards. But if you're not speaking the standards, you can't expect your partner to meet them, And so I think that's part of the reason that women get angry inside of the relationship and start to emasculate their partner, because they're not emotionally intelligent enough to articulate what their needs are from the start. So you chose this man based on his looks. You didn't vet him. You didn't know how the dynamic inside of the relationship was going to be because you started giving too early. You did not wait to see if he was going to provide for you. You tried to make everything happen on your own. You get inside the relationship, you overfunction, you overgive, you overperform. You get to a place to where you're tired and you want the dynamic to shift. You want the man to step up and be the man, but it's too late for that. And you didn't realize that early on that he wasn't equipped to give you that type of treatment and love because you never waited to see if it would work out that way.
Right. And again, and you were talking about vetting, I feel like men are, we're trying to, impress and all that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that when a man flirts with you or with a woman that, that's always the main thing that they're thinking about. However, I do feel like you need to really listen and watch because of the fact that it can give you a false sense of security.
Exactly. Yes. You have that's why the vetting process is so important. That's why the process of being selfish and going within to make sure that you know exactly what you want so that you can articulate it. If you've not taken the time to set your own standard and know what you need, when it shows up, you'll accept anything.
Right.
Just because it looks good on the surface. And you don't know if this is going to be a good fit for you because you've never taken the time to figure it out.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're selfish and you take that time and know if this guy is going to be a good fit.
Right. And I mean, and guys, it really is kind of too, it's works with guys too. We've all, I guess I can't say we've all, but I know that I always went for an easy target. Sometimes they may not have been someone that I would have ever dared think about having a relationship with. But when you continue to do things like that, then you diminish yourself, and your character will become diminished. And man, body counts don't mean anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, body counts don't mean a thing. Because if you can't remember their names, remember their faces and that sort of thing, then, I mean, it's just, that doesn't make you a man.
Right.
That does not make you a man. Trust me. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we really want, I believe what we need as Black women, we need for Black men to heal just as much as we've healed. Mm-hmm. And to acknowledge the gaps that are there. Like, we can no longer not acknowledge the statistics that Black women are single moms a lot more than any other race. Mm-hmm. And that's not fair. That's not what a lot of us signed up for going into these relationships. And Black men need to acknowledge that and figure out how are they going to step up. Now, we have some amazing Black women that are great providers, protectors, and fathers. We had one on our last podcast, and we'll be sharing that. So this is not for all Black men, but what we're trying to get is those that are still out there making these types of situations that are toxic, not just for themselves, their partner, but also for their children. So we need you to heal and become more secure in who you are and make better decisions.
Before we, I feel like we're getting close to the end of this. I'm curious. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that there are truth and stereotypes?
What do you mean by that? When you say truth and stereotypes.
Do you believe that there are truth and stereotypes? Okay, for instance, I'll make this easy on you, and I'll make this easy on me. We have a tendency to believe that people that are Republican are only white. They're Christian, and they only care about money.
So, truth and stereotypes.
Where I'm going with this is that there's the stereotype of the Black child not having a dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do I believe that all Black children, do I believe that Black men run out on their families? No, I don't. It is a stereotype. Again, we'll ride the elephant in the room around. But do you believe that there could be truth in the stereotype based on your statistics?
Well, when we talk about truth and stereotype, what we have to go with is the majority, right? Mm-hmm. So when statistics show the majority of Black households being led by a single mother, the dad is not present, the children are being raised by her being the protector, the provider, the nurturer, and all of those things, it's hard to not give into that stereotype. While there are some Black fathers out there that are present in the household, they're beautiful fathers, well respected, well loved. While that is the case for some, the majority, the statistics don't show that that's the case for all. And so when we talk about stereotypes, it's easier to give into stereotypes where the statistics shows that that's the majority. It's very hard to not say that, this is what it is.
And to be completely transparent, I've been a truth in a stereotype. And I mean, I feel like there are truth in stereotypes.
There is truth in stereotypes.
And I think stereotype is such, it's almost like the word selfish.
Yeah. And listen,
got a bad stigma.
The other thing is that, stereotypically Black women are considered to be angry. And I will tell you why we're angry. Because we are the most overlooked. We are the less protected. We are the least respected. Right. You can see it even in movies. When a woman of another color cries, the whole world stops and caters to her. But if a Black woman is crying,
she's crazy.
Yeah, she's crazy. She's delusional.
I'll say it for
she's toxic.
Yeah.
Everything just keeps moving. And it's like, why is no one hearing me? Why don't my tears mean anything? And so of course we have become angry. And of course we feel like we have to assert ourselves and speak with such passion and anger because we don't feel that people are listening. And then we've had times where we have tried to be soft and we have tried to communicate our needs in a very vulnerable and open way, but we've been let down. And we've been hurt. And we have noticed that people don't meet our needs and carry the burdens that we carry for us because they feel like, oh, she can do it herself. And so it's not fair
that's a very understandable anger.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's understandable. I mean, just as a man, as a person, not even as a man, as a person, I get it.
Yeah.
And
thank you for getting it.
I get it, man. I could sit here and I could say, I have this, I have that going on. We got 4 minutes. Hold on. I could sit here as a man, and say, well, men this and men that and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But I just want to sit here and say, I get it.
Thank you.
As a person, I understand and I have empathy, I have sympathy, and I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Thank you. And I think that's what a lot of Black women just want to hear. They just want to be acknowledged and they just want to be heard that, listen, we are carrying everything by ourselves. We don't necessarily want to, but this is what we've been given. And it could have come from us not learning how to communicate with men. It could have come from culturally, our communication style makes a man feel emasculated. It could have come from so many things that have led us to this point. But what we're saying now is that we're tired and we're healing so that we can make the shift. And we're praying that our Black brothers can make the shift and heal with us, and take accountability. We're taking accountability for the ways that we've led to the destruction of the Black family. Like, can you take accountability for your part and start to hold up your piece of the mantle? And so that's really what this conversation is about. When we talk about the strong Black woman persona, we want women to be okay with dropping that persona and stepping more into this awareness. We're not looking to be saved. We just want to be heard and understood and not overlooked, because the other color women or other races of women are not being overlooked. We are. And so we want to put a stop to that. We're no longer settling for being overlooked and not heard.
And I feel like, it's not that women of other colors or whatever, that they don't go through the same thing. I feel like what it is you're the majority.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this, you're not the minority, you are the majority, and it shouldn't be that way for anybody.
Right. That's a very good point. Yes. It's not that other women don't experience what we experience, but we're experiencing it far greater than anybody else.
Right. I mean, it's just so much more.
Right.
Than just, a little corner here and a little corner here. And I mean, it's almost like, one person dead is too many. Of course, one woman, one man that, is overlooked is too much.
Yeah.
But it is so saturated within your community.
Yeah.
And when you are looking at that, along with all of the other things that life is dealing to you, man, I would be screaming too.
Yeah.
I'd be an angry black woman.
Yeah.
I'd be angry.
Yeah. And I think for us too, it's time to force our men to step up by setting hard boundaries. Because black women have the highest rates of hypertension in the U.S. and 3 to 4 more times more likely to die from stress, what I am saying is we have to set harder boundaries and not feel guilty about it. We have to become better self-advocates and say, this is not working for me. This situation is not working for me. The way you are performing or not performing or not meeting, your end of the deal is not working for me. Like I had a client that I was speaking to about her boyfriend or baby's father not holding up his end of the bargain, and she's being very lenient with him and going back and forth. Well, it's time for you to escalate and not make the conditions suitable for him to fit him, but advocate for what you need and what your kids need. So if you need help financially, you're going to have to get the courts involved. Because sometimes we feel, I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to get the court involved because then that'll keep him
just drives me up the wall.
Right.
I mean, it really does.
And so you see how we've been raised to care more about another person, especially the ones that are hurting us and that are hurting our children and our families. And so what I'm saying is we have to reprogram this thinking. And when you are being screwed by someone that promised to love you and take care of your kids, it's time for you to screw back.
And that is really now see, and I can see being selfish there because of the simple fact that you should be selfish enough to care enough about your children, to care enough about yourself. And if you have some kind of insecurity, that's on you. You need to figure that out. But that doesn't mean that you let that man get away with, I don't want to make him pay or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt him. He's hurting you.
Right, exactly.
And he's hurting
That's
the
his
kids.
responsibility. Right.
Yeah,
right.
it's time.
He's not being a man.
Right. And so those are all the questions that we have to ask up front. We have to stop falling into the trap of these butterflies that we feel because this man,
butterfly effect.
Yes, because this man is so fine. Oh my God. We have to really not get caught up in the looks and really get inside of his mind and say, okay, what are your plans for provision?
Right.
And we have to stop entertaining these men's potential and look at the evidence. I always say, especially to the women that I work with, stop looking at a man for what he could potentially be because he may not want to be that. You can't make a man be what you want him to be and make him fit into your life the way you want him to because you think he has potential. You have to look at his track record. If you want to know if he's going to be successful inside of the relationship with you, look at his track record with himself. Has he achieved the goals that he set for himself? Has he achieved the salary that he set for himself? Has he moved up in his job the way, he thought he should? Is he where he should be in life? If he is not happy with himself, I promise you he will not be happy with you. If he does not have a track record for loving himself, he will not have a track record for loving you. If he has let himself down in more ways than one, he is going to let you down. He is going to let your children down. Look at his track record. Stop looking at the potential and look at the evidence. It's not going to change. He's showing you exactly what it's going to be. But we overlook that because he looks so good. He smells so good. He dressed so nice. Please.
Or you think you can save him.
Oh, you think you can save him. Like, we have to stop. We have to stop the savior complex, because it's wrecking us.
Not to say that men, you can't just say, well, you didn't do this. I mean, it's not necessarily, in my opinion, it's not necessarily a checklist of things. It could be for you, but I mean, if that was the case, then I don't think anyone would ever get together. But 85-15, okay? If 85% of it, and it's the good 85, then...
Well, you have to figure out what are your non-negotiables.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That is true. You do have to figure out your non-negotiables.
So I've realized that my non-negotiables are, if the man does not have a provider mindset and he's not able to fully provide for me, I cannot entertain the thought of another 50-50 relationship, because to me, 50-50 is a mindset. So if you're thinking I'm going to do 50 and you're going to do 50, in that man's mind, he only has to show up 50%. And I don't want that. I want you to show up 100%, not because I want you to, but because it's who you are, and it doesn't even, when you talk about provider, yes, it equates to the bills, but what mindset does this man have? If you come in a relationship thinking I only have to do 50%, you're only going to see 50% from him. That's the bottom line. He is not going to give you the max. You want the man that has the vision to provide, even if he's not making the 6 figures or the 7 figures or the 8 figures a year. He has the mindset in the heart that he wants to give you 100%. That's what the provider mindset is. So when you hear a man say, you have your own, I have my own, okay, that means he's going to do just enough to maintain his own, because he wants you to do enough to maintain your own. He doesn't have the intention of taking care of you fully.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, he doesn't have the intention to take care of you. Right.
There's a difference between a shared, in my marriage, my money's her money's my money. I try to be mindful of the money that she makes. I mean, we have things set up in a way that works for us when it comes to basically the mechanics of bill paying and everyday life, going out to eat or buying, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, I still would prefer, and I strive for this, to make sure that I'm taking care of my wife.
Yes, 100%.
And I did that with my children. I mean, I worked a full-time job. I always had a side hustle. I always had something going on. I always made sure that my children, if they needed shoes on a Monday night and payday was on Friday, they got those shoes on Monday night, because I believe in providing.
Yeah.
That's a responsibility.
Right. And it's a mindset.
It is.
And if a man doesn't come to the table with that mindset and a vision, you cannot entertain his potential. You really can't.
I agree with that. And that's not, we kind of went back and forth on that. And I may have missed, I may have missed, I think something got lost in communication, because sometimes it sounds like, well, a woman's just being a gold digger. And I will be that guy and say, well, she's just worried about money. No, dude, you're supposed to take care of her. She wants that. She wants to see that she doesn't want that false security. She wants to see that you're the man.
But I think that men have to stop seeing when a woman wants money, when they get all up in arms about a woman wanting money. Money is just a tool. What she's really asking for,
I know somebody that said that.
And what she's really asking for is security. She wants security. What does money provide?
Right.
It provides security. It provides safety. So she's not digging for your money. She's asking, are you capable, willing, and generous enough to provide?
Now, man, it's up to you to find the right woman. Now, if it's a woman that wants a $3 million house on the hill and you're not able to provide that, and you're never going to be able to provide that, you know what, dude, just let it go.
Find somebody in your price range.
Right. Yeah. But if it's somebody, and there's a lot of women that have $3 million minds, but what they bring to the table is only budgeted for a tin shack. And men, do yourself a favor and make sure that she's the right woman for you, in respect that she will appreciate what you have to offer. And you know what? You might find a woman you might find a woman that's fine with just living in a van by the river, and that's great. Mm-hmm. I mean, and at the end of the day, you won't be happy with someone that expects this, whatever, that $3 million house on the hill. You know what? Guess what? You're not going to make her happy.
Yeah.
And just chalk it up to experience, chalk it up to that's life. And don't pine for somebody like that, because you know what? Just because she's a woman that wants a $3 million house up on the hill, that doesn't mean she's a good woman.
Yeah.
It just means she wants a $3 million house up on the hill.
Right. And also, men need to take their time to be selfish too.
I agree.
Because they need that internal time to reflect and develop what their standards and expectations are. Because if the $3 million woman looks good and that's all you're after, then that's how you get caught up in that trap. But if you know that,
then you're just objectifying her.
Right. And that's how we get in relationships. Mm-hmm. Many of us, that's how we get in these toxic relationships. But you need to know that, okay, she can't just look good. I need someone I can build with. I need someone that's emotionally intelligent. I need someone that can give me good feedback. I need someone that can have a conversation, that's emotionally secure, that can, really be there for me. I need her to show up in this way and in that way. So when you go internally and you figure out what your standards are for the woman, you don't just go after her because you look good. It becomes, okay, you look good. What else do you have? Like, do you have these things? These are my non-negotiables. These are my essentials that I need inside of a relationship. Because if you don't do that, you're going to always feel empty. It's going to always feel like a misalignment. And it's going to always feel like I keep telling her what I need, but she's not giving me what I need because she's not constructed to naturally be what you want. So you have to come up with this list of expectations and standards so that when you see it, you can say, okay, this woman is this naturally. So this is her default setting. She's always going to be this. I don't have to go after her and keep telling her, this is what I need from you. When you have to be in a relationship with someone and you have to consistently say, this is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need, that means that that's not naturally who they are. That's not who they are. And if you didn't set that standard in the beginning and you developed it as you went along, now you're with someone that's misaligned and not evenly yoked. So it's important for men to do their time and be reflective and have their standards and expectations too.
Right. I just think that women are wired in a way where it's super important for them to, a lot of men, they bounce back. And women do too. I'm not saying that they don't, but it just affects us all differently, I suppose. And I feel like there's a lot of really good advice there. from you. Mine's just really kind of life advice, and mine's life advice from where I've made mistakes.
Mine too. This comes from choosing wrong, right?
Right.
Like choosing wrong.
But with the Queen's Order in your book, and just circling back to the black woman, the angry black woman, and that sort of thing, I think that you definitely have some. You've lived it, and you've decided, hey, I don't want to be angry anymore.
I don't want to be angry,
and I don't want my sisters to be angry either.
No, we have to forgive, and we have to realize. Well, let me go back. We have to forgive those that let us down, that did not maybe fulfill the promises that they made. We have to forgive them. We have to forgive our upbringing. We have to forgive the trauma, and we have to realize that our parents may have caused us some hurt, but while we were growing, they were growing. They didn't come equipped. They did the best with what they had, right? And so we have to forgive them. And then we also have to forgive ourselves for the situations that we ended up in. Because again, we were doing the best that we could with the information that we were equipped with at that time. And so once you forgive your upbringing, your past, you forgive yourself, now you're free to choose. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to choose without equipping yourself to choose. So you have to heal. You have to heighten your discernment, your emotional intelligence. And you do that by going within, by being selfish, by taking the time to give yourself back to yourself. And once you realize internally what you need, now you can be clear about it. Now you can move about the world a whole lot different, and you can move on from situations that are not going to serve you. You can move a lot faster. You can see someone and know that this is not a good fit. The first encounter, and not spend 10 years trying to figure it out, because you already have yourself figured out.
Exactly. You can have those expectations, and you can, there's a story where a guy is walking down a hill and he sees this rattlesnake, and this rattlesnake is hurt, and he picks the rattlesnake up and he gets down to the bottom of the hill, and the rattlesnake bites him. And the guy's like, man, I just saved you and you bit me. And the rattlesnake says, well, I'm a rattlesnake.
Exactly.
And that's with men too. You know what? You can forgive yourself. I think, I'm piggybacking on what you're saying, that women, you can pick yourself up, or, after you've healed, don't pick up another rattlesnake.
Don't waste your healing.
Right.
Don't waste your healing, and drop the mask. Once you stop performing, mm-hmm. and once you stop pretending to be what you think other people want you to be, because if you're a performer, you're going to attract another performer. So you're going to get inside a relationship with someone that you think is a man, only to find that he's a rattlesnake. So once you stop performing and you drop the mask, you're going to find someone that's equally yoked and aligned. They won't be wearing a mask either. Mm-hmm. Once you decide, I'm going to be who I am authentically, you're going to attract someone that's just as authentic. Because every man that's wearing a mask, you'll be able to see right through it. But if you're wearing a mask and you're pretending and you never took the time to self-examine, it's going to be easy to be in a relationship with another rattlesnake. That's how we continue this cycle of toxicity, and we end up in relationships with men that have a different head, but the same things that we've been dealing with over and over, because we never took the time to go internally. Right. We keep thinking that it's an external issue, that there's pee in a dating pool, or there's something wrong with the men. No, you have not healed what's happening beneath the surface. That's why it keeps showing up. It's going to keep showing up until you heal it. That's just it. That's it. That's all. So you have to heal before you deal. So ladies and gentlemen, both sides, I want us to really think thoroughly about our lives internally examine who we are and heal before we deal. If we do that, we'll have less toxic relationships. We can build stronger families and have a better society. I want you all to keep tuning in. Go to all of our social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, like YouTube.
No, yeah.
Don't forget YouTube.
No, because that's where you're going to see the full version of this video. Obviously, is on YouTube. So
thank you, buddy. Go to all of our social platforms, like, love, save, share, and subscribe. Help us grow our platform and reach more audiences. We want more people to feel liberated and safe enough to heal. We also want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think? What resonated with you? What helped you elevate today? And what is something that you still have more questions about? Let's get those comments going because it helps us think about our content, what we need to address coming up next. This is so important for us. This is the work that we're doing from the heart because it's important for us all to heal and elevate.
It is important because of the simple fact that we do listen to what you say. Obviously, if you have something nasty to say, we might not necessarily listen to that, but we're going to let it ride because we're going to see what other people have to say about it. However, we do care about you. We honestly do care about you. We feel very passionately about people. Danielle obviously feels very passionate about what, with the strong Black woman and the aware Black woman, because that is really the core of this podcast. However, we know that it's not just about women, it's about people in general. And we are very passionate about people because that's what we are. We're people too. Do.
Yes. So thank you all for tuning in, and we want to see you on those platforms.